And you are a guardian angel and designer. What you talking about, man? You are from the Bronx, bro. You are not from Harlem. Why do you keep thinking that you are from Harlem, bro? You are not from Harlem. I did not grow up with you, man. I did not grow up with you. Contrary to what you believe, never needed nowhere to stay. You act like that couch. You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan.
Mase taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, boy, once you figure out how to rap, the same way you act in these streets, it's going to work for you. Just keep going. And that's all so I always got to give credit to where credit is due. There would be no Jim Jones if it wasn't for them guys.
You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in. You was so cool. And we was like, yo, Jomo's a nice guy. Mase like, yo, I think I'll teach him how to rap. Mase actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
What if I told you everything you thought about Jim Jones was fake? What if the so-called capo of Dipset wasn't a founder, but a fanboy who clung to Mai and Camron until they finally let him in? What if the man screaming, "I built this," was really just riding the wave, begging for a spot he never earned?
What's the chances of you, Cam, and Mase getting back?
I don't think it's really gonna happen. We two different type of people. And always have. Competitive nature always been first before friendship. Remember, Cam, my man. It's not.
So it's not you.
I took the position of my position. Cam is my partner. I'm not his artist. I was the CEO of Diplomats. I made Diplomats with him. I was with him for every bit of his journey. I held him down. I took that position of holding him down. I'm not his soldier. You heard? I'm his partner. But in the journey that we had to take, I had to do what was needed. Well, I played my position. And that's why I'm able to be here and have a conversation with you, because I did what I was supposed to do.
Back when diplomatic immunity had the streets on chokehold, when Dipset had Harlem feeling untouchable, Jim played his part like a boss. But behind all that swag was a different story. What if that entire empire was built off borrowed fame, and the real masterminds were just too loyal to speak up? Until now.
I never needed nowhere to stay. You act like your couch. You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan. You're not from none of that. So you can sit around and act like you've been around all this Harlem. You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you got to keep saying, I'm from Harlem? Harlem know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep saying you from Harlem.
The smoke is clearing, and what's left is a messy truth. Jim been scrambling for relevance for years, clinging to features, drama, anything to stay in the spotlight. But how long can you front before the real ones come back to reclaim what they built? This is hip-hop. Respect ain't handed out. You gotta earn that in blood and sweat. You can't claim streets you ain't grow up on. You can't just rewrite your legacy when it benefits you. And you damn sure can't jack credit from the ones who fed you when you had nothing. But Jim, he's been doing exactly that for over 2 decades. And now the same crew that gave him life is gearing up to end the fantasy once and for all.
You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you was so cool. And we was like, yo, Jomo's a nice guy. Mase like, yo, I think I'll teach him how to rap. Mase actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
Can you believe the nerve? Jim Jones just went on record claiming he was the CEO of Dipset. Jim really said he held down Maji and Cam? That ain't just capping. That's straight up identity theft in broad daylight. In Harlem, that kind of lie ain't just disrespectful. It's dangerous. You can't walk around claiming you built something you never laid a brick on. That's the type of fake flex that'll get you pressed fast.
Say it. Matter of fact, bring up the clip.
Mase helped me actually learn how to rap.
Mase taught me how to rap. Mase actually showed me, he was the first person to show me how to rap.
Mase actually sat me down and showed me the magic to rap.
We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization. How you made Diplomat. Well, you made none of this stuff. You was a fan. I put you down because you had a free crib and you was a nice guy. That's how you got down originally. Period.
And the wild part? He says it with confidence. Like someone who's been spinning the same story for so long, he actually believes his own fairy tale. That's what happens when you live off borrowed stripes for too long. You start thinking they yours.
Mase taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, boy, once you figure out how to rap, the same way you act in these streets is gonna work for you. Just keep going. And that's all so I always gotta give credit where credit is due. There would be no Jim Jones if it wasn't for them guys.
But here's the cold truth. When you build your name off somebody else's legacy, the real owners always come back to collect. And that moment just hit. Camron stepped in. No yelling, no mess, just surgical precision. He looked dead at the camera and said, "You were our fan, ninja." 4 words. And boom, 20 years of Cap went down in flames.
Freestyles come out. Yo, I heard the new shit. I heard the new did. Yo, you want to come through? Come through. Why? Why are we going to Jomo's house? Cool. One day, I'm leaving Mace's house on the west side, going back to the east side. I stop at Jomo's house. His grandmother died, God bless her dad. And he had a free crib. So yeah, I would bring some a little crack maybe. I'd be at everybody's house though. I love my grandparents. My grandparents were strict. I stayed at Duke the God house. I stayed at Mace Makuta. I stayed at her. I stayed a bunch of I never needed nowhere to stay.
This ain't no petty beef. This ain't about bruised egos. It's about truth versus fiction. There's a difference between architects and parasites, between those who created a movement from scratch and those who clung on once the fame hit. And Cam just reminded the whole game exactly where Jim stands. And it ain't in the builder's circle.
When I met Cam and Jim, they were super close. So I honestly don't really know Jim being from the Bronx and all that. You know what I'm saying? When I met them, they was in 5H, which is, you know what I'm saying, Jim's apartment, and that's, you know, like, I guess that time was after all the stuff Cam had said already with the Children of the Corn and Jim, you know, whatever he said, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when I got there, Cam and Jim was like this, super tight. Mace wasn't even in the picture. I don't know Mace like that, you know what I'm saying? Every time I seen Mace, it's been a mutual, you know what I'm saying, respect there. So, you know, that's what that's been as far as me and Mace, you know what I'm saying? As far as, yeah, when I met Cam and Jim, they were already Trump tight and locked in. You understand what I'm saying? The Diplomats was already a name they had. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and claim I made the dip, so that's not something I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I made Dipset though, the two. Yeah, I did that.
And here's where it gets deep. Cam just cracked the code on Jim's behavior. People who ain't built nothing real, they chase validation like oxygen. They don't ride with powerful people out of love. They do it out of fear of being exposed. Jim's whole image been stitched together with fake street credit, secondhand fame, and tough guy performances. And just like that, the illusion shattered. Jim Jones did not co-found Dipset. He ain't discover Camron. He ain't put Mati on. None of it. The real story? Jim was just some dude in Harlem who heard the streets buzzing off their mixtapes and begged his way into the circle. Like a groupie with good timing and zero leverage. That one truth flips Jim's whole legacy upside down. Every hit, every feature, every moment where he stood next to greatness, all of it traces back to one desperate move. A superfan who saw a rising empire and hustled his way into the photo, but never touched the blueprint.
And I know because I seen it, I was there. I was at Jim album release party, and everybody was over there with Jim, and Cam is standing over here with like 3 or 4 people just looking on and couldn't believe that Jim is the guy. And that always stood with me.
Now here's the part that really burns in street culture. Begging ain't just lame, it's a full-blown violation of real man code. Real ones don't latch on. They build their own table. Real bosses don't chase cosigns. They become the cosign. But Jim, he just got exposed as none of the above. So now the question ain't even about credit anymore, it's survival. How long can you stack a whole career on a foundation you never laid before the ones who actually built it decide to knock it all down? Respect in the streets? That's the real currency.
There's no Dipset without Jim. Jim is the gangbanger of the crew. Cam is not a blood. I don't even know if Jewels was. I doubt Freaky was, right? But the set, it comes from the gang, right? All the gang all ran under Jim.
Right.
All of the muscle was Jim. That wasn't Cam. You know what I'm saying?
Cam was like the Jay-Z.
Cam was the artist.
The Jay-Z, the mascot of it, if this is Rockefeller.
Right.
And then Jim was Kareem. Biggs.
No, because Jim did more than what Biggs did. I wouldn't use the Rockefeller scenario. That's not a good thing. Jim and Cam were partners, so to speak, but Jim took the role of being the underboss, the muscle, to make sure that Cam could function and move around and not have a bad reputation or be getting robbed and all this other stuff. So Jim put he stood front line for anything in regards to Cam, and then he put Dipset in front of Cam.
And Jim just went broke. Once the real architects of your image pull the plug, it's over. Ain't no comeback from that. That's character assassination on a whole different level.
Wedge that became between Cam and Jim is Jim's success. When Jim started becoming successful as an artist, the animosity started building up in Cam.
It wasn't supposed to go like that according to Cam's story.
No, Cam always looked at him as being the star, Jim being capo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's kind of like Sammy the Bull becoming John Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Gotti's probably gonna feel a little way if Sammy becomes the main man. You know what I'm saying? And in that situation, that's what it is. Jim started to grow as an artist. And as he started to grow as an artist, he started moving from standing behind Cam to he started standing next to Cam. And then it got to a point where he stood in front of Cam. And Cam was looking him over his shoulder like, what you doing? And then that built the animosity. And by the time Ballin' hit, Cam had a gang of animosity and internal hatred. And I know because I seen it, I was there. I was at Jim album release party.
And here's the cherry on top. Jim been telling these same lies for so long, there's video receipts of him slipping up and contradicting his own fake narrative. Jim's own mouth just betrayed him. The same man screaming today that he ran Dipset is now being taken down by his own words from back in the day. That's the difference between real ones and pretenders. Real street legends keep the same story because they lived it. Fakes? They switch up depending on the audience, until the contradictions start crashing down.
Not in a disrespectful way, but he was under the wing. Jim was the muscle. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And Jewels was under that wing too, of the muscle. You get what I mean? So with Jim, he's Cam's partner.
Copy.
But he's taking a step back to play the muscle.
Right.
Jewels was a worker.
Right.
A hiree, a little man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between Jewels and Jim. You know what I'm saying? If it was beef, Jewel ain't gonna be front line. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to go get through Jim, then Dipset to get to Cam, and then probably to get to Jewels.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Jewels ain't standing in front of Jim, and Jewels ain't standing in front of Cam.
For 20 years, Jim been remixing his origin story like it's a mixtape. But guess what? The internet don't forget. And when old footage comes back and exposes your lies, it's not just humiliating, it's career-ending. Now here comes Camron setting up the kill shot. And he's not just talking wild. Nah, he's got evidence. Real Harlem-style exposure with video receipts. And when Cam says he got proof, best believe he's not bluffing. He's about to pull out undeniable truth and wipe Jim's whole street cred off the map. Listen to Cam's tone. Calm, cold, sure. That's what it sounds like when you know you got the upper hand.
Wake up with every hands on you. But I see the pattern now. If I either disagree with you and don't want to take it that route because they got some genuine love for you, you keep going on and on and on. Every that put hands on you or you get to take you cool with them. I see you with C Gutter. Junior Mafia, cool. I see you taking pictures with True Life. It's cool. Man, DC, y'all having sit-downs to work out. Gunshots was let off with that. Y'all having sit-downs to work it out. You tried to chase French Montana out the game. That ain't work out. Y'all got cool. So cool that you go to his video shoot. Pardon me, not his video movie. You're sitting in the crowd watching the premiere and they dissing you in the movie. You in the movie getting dissed and you gotta eat it, just sitting in the crowd. Nah, dissing you in the movie that you went to go see, bro. You ever wonder how you met Mano? Ask him how he met Mano. Mano gonna downplay because they cool now. He tried to press Mano one day because Mano first came out. He had a little record where he was saying, dissing the rappers. I don't know, he's dissing his name. So Jim Plus see Mano one day and was like, yo, what's up with all that saying my name? Mano said, who the talking to? Oh, you think I'm one of them niggas? You out your mother? Now they the lobby boys. Every that do something to put pressure on you, you sit there and work it out. But when niggas got a little genuine heart for you and all that, cool, that's the pattern. If they don't put hands on you, then you can keep going on and on and on. And I ain't promoting none of this. I think it's cool that you cool with everybody I name. You gonna be 50 next year. I'm happy that you cool. I'm not saying this to stir up no feathers. I'm not saying that to backtrack on any beef or go anything like. I think it's really cool. But you do this, you cool with, and then and sophisticatedly, you keep going on and on, bro.
When the truth is sitting right there on video, you ain't gotta yell. You just hit play and let the silence speak louder than any argument. And here's the punch that knocks it all out. Jim Jones, the man who claimed to be Dipset's CEO, enforcer, leader, was caught on camera admitting that Mafi is the one who taught him how to rap, not the other way around. Jim didn't make Mai made Jim. This ain't just some slip up. This is a straight up confession caught on tape. Jim's own mouth just backed up everything Cam and Mai been saying for years. And when your enemy don't even gotta come for you because you expose yourself, that's street justice at its finest. Jim's been out here fabricating more than just his Dipset role. He's been flipping the entire history of their friendship, telling folks Cam was crashing at his spot like some broke rapper, when in reality, that was never the case. That's classic behavior from dudes who blow up and suddenly rewrite the whole story, just so they look like the boss, the savior, the kingpin.
People, it don't even be the actual people. Like if me and you was beefing, and you said, I don't know, Zeke got a peanut head paws, and I said you got 11 toes, or whatever the case may be. That'd be that. But it be everybody else on the side, your group of niggas. Be like, yeah, man, you know, the peanut, he's a peanut gallery. They gonna make up all this, make sure to turn the peanuts into peanut butter, then whip it into something else to make it all a whole bunch of different Then my talk about your feet and all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, just to, like, that's everybody who's from Harlem got some family in the Bronx. Everybody who got family in the Bronx got family in Harlem. Yeah, Jim is from the Bronx and he came to Harlem. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, you gotta understand the war. Like, Jim it's like battling. It's like rap. Like Jim, whatever, but they wasn't. They was on platforms. And Jim said what he said. Jim, I think what he said, something about inviting him to his, so he said, he said, they on my dick, right? That's something that's serious. Like, you hear that, you like, ooh, it's like Jim caught a ball. Oh, so what you think Cam gonna do? You think he just gonna sit there and you think he gonna, and Jim rhymed first. You know what I mean? Well, actually Cam and 50 said what they was talking about what they said. Jim heard that. He came back and said that. Now, Cam, what you think Cam gonna do? Cam is a lyricist. He's gonna make you feel any type of stupidity way that's possible. He's gonna say shit, basically kick you in your nuts. You know what I mean? He's gonna rip your heart out. Remember the old school when they was doing electric boogie and they grabbed the nigga by the heart, pulled the heart, and they just had it in their head.
But here's the problem. When you try to rewrite moments that other real ones actually lived through, your lies become weapons. And now they're using them against you. Every fake flex turns into ammo when the truth steps in. And the coldest part? Jim can't even fight back. You can't clap back at your own voice on tape. You can't scream, I built Dipset, when you literally said out loud that Mache taught you how to rap. How do you walk that back? You can't.
What I'll finish with is this, man. I'm never here to downplay your character. As much as you try to degrade my character for years and push me under the bus and say, I ain't start this and I ain't do that, and you started Pink and you made the Diplomats, which is just, if people choose to believe that, then look, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I can sell you to, man, period. But at the end of the day, I never try to downplay your character. And I didn't know all this on because I was on vacation. I came back a few days ago and seen all this going on. And it's like, for instance, right? I see you post, let me get jumped in Rucker, this, that, and third by 8, that, and third. I'll let that story however they want to tell it. I seen the story one time when Little C's was telling the story. I mean, me and Little C's is cool. And Little C's told me he punched me in my face. Really? And me and C, I seen C's. C's, really? No, I'm not dissing C's, but no. Little C's never punched me. But if you go to his end in that story, that's what he said he did. And like I said, I ain't got no problem. I seen C's, we good. But you keep running around with these 25-year-old stories. Do you ever hear me talk about when you ran on me when BMF pulled up? When you ran in the hotel, they chased you to the beach. And lucky, I had my and my man Jojo, I ain't gonna say his name, Spanish, the Spanish about life, who was with me, is like, who are these? I said, oh, they come this way. No, and this no disrespect, because Blue's all that. And Blue Da Vinci just told this story on his platform or whatever platform recently. He got it 89% right. It's a little off, Blue. I'll tell it on Talk with Flea, my perspective of what happened. But at the end of the day, I don't be out there pumping. They chase you to the beach in the sand. You was getting wet from the water, from the ocean. I don't pump that. You know why? Because the revolution was televised. I'm here. That's why God worked like that. That's why I'm here. The revolution was televised. What you talking about? And I'll wrap it up real quick with this, because I'll be here for an hour. We got to stop tricking freedom, bro.
And just when you think it couldn't get worse, it does. Because while Jim been busy exposing himself, contradicting his own stories left and right, the people who really witnessed Dipset rise from the ground up, they've been watching quietly. And now they're getting ready to drop something that'll flip this whole story upside down. Everything we thought we knew about Dipset's inner power structure, it's getting flipped fast. Because when the smoke clears and the cap stops flying, the real truth comes out from the people who were actually in the room. No more fan fiction, just raw facts. Joel Santana tried to keep it peaceful, said everything was cool at first. That's him setting the stage before all hell broke loose. Peep the tone. Calm, clear, no extra hype. That's how real ones talk when they don't need to lie. They just say what happened and let it land heavy.
At the end of the day, Jim just was smart enough to do it quicker. You know, they say time heals all wounds, so people usually let years and years and years go by. Jim, you know what I mean? He saw his moment. He saw his moment, and he saw that 50 had a platform at the time that was, you know, bigger than ours. It was bigger than ours. So to perform a song which was the biggest song out right now in front of a crowd that we are not normally in front of, you understand what I'm saying? I don't think it was the worst thing. Like Jim knew that it wasn't no bloodshed, you know what I'm saying? And Jim was smart enough to know, I think, this is not even that serious. Like like at the time I knew people in Queens, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like the Cam, and look at him and Cam right now, they're on the platform. So obviously the beef wasn't that serious. You understand what I'm saying? They just waited longer to settle their differences. Why is it cool to see Cam and 50 now, but it wasn't cool to see Jim and 50 then? You understand what I'm saying? That Jim and Cam is beefing now, right? So y'all say, okay, so why is 50 on? You understand what I'm saying? It's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing. It's just people like to pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? People got their favorites even in the groups, man. It's always been like that. So now when the group clash, it's like, you know, people want to take, I think the bull. If y'all really want to see Cam move as a unit, don't be taking this. Even if you like Cam more than you like Jim more than you like Cam. You know what I'm saying? It's Dipset. You know what I'm saying? So you know when you see them going at it, you know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, you know, that the egg on like that, like I'm definitely not gonna be the one to egg it on.
But now here's where it really starts twisting. Choke No Joke stepped in and dropped a bomb. He confirmed something that makes this whole situation way more complicated. Jim did have real authority at one point. There were people working under him. He had structure, he had pull. but not the kind he's been bragging about. This ain't about a man with zero power. This is about a man who couldn't handle the limits of his power. Jim wasn't the architect. He was the middle manager trying to retell the story like he built the whole building brick by brick.
Business out there, none of that type of shit. I'm not that type of here to talk down. I don't care. They know what I do. You heard? And they know what I've done. And they could dance around it all they like that joking, but they know upset is gonna be a real problem. And I can tell you about times that I did get upset. And I can tell you about times that they don't want me to talk about. You heard? The both of them. You dig? Like, this game, they can't play with me too much. I give them the floor to do that because that serves me no purpose. I got too much shit to do. I'm trying to get to a real bag, a real different type of bag, and I'm trying to help out more than not.
And here comes the line that's about to split the entire internet. Choke No Joke said, "There is no Dipset without Jim." And yeah, that's a heavy statement. But hold up. Before Jim's fans start throwing victory parties, let's be clear. Being the muscle ain't the same as being the mind. Being the enforcer don't make you the visionary. Jim was vital, sure, but his role was protection, not leadership. He made moves, but he didn't make the blueprint.
Mace needed to go on a diet. He needed to get his life together. He needed to go to the doctor and get a physical. He looked terrible, bad body, back, nigga looked big around the neck, waist looked crazy. I'm body shaming this, you heard? He needed to go get on the treadmill, do some push-ups, do something. You heard? Especially for playing with me.
And now we're seeing the split. Two camps forming fast, Santana and Choke. No Joke ain't defending Jim because they think he's flawless. They're riding for him because they saw his real contributions up close. The problem? Cam and Mate are now downplaying those moves like Jim was just tagging along. But what's really going on here is mental warfare. Both sides playing the game with half-truths and loaded angles. Cam and Mate are minimizing Jim's role to expose how much he exaggerated it. Meanwhile, Jim's camp is overhyping his real impact to push back on the just a fan narrative. Somewhere in between all that is the truth. But in the street game, truth don't always matter. Perception does. And right now, Jim is getting torched in that perception war.
There's a point of anything. I think when people put negative energy in the light, people just run with it. Yeah. The media, social media is not about anything positive. You know what I mean? It's about going viral and catching people's attention and things like that. You dig? So I try not to feed into that because I know there's a big reality. There's a big difference between the two. You know what I mean? But even though I gotta live in the truth for business-wise and things like that, but for the most part, I try to stay away from all the social media and digital antics.
Here's the wild part about street politics. When everybody's grinding, loyalty's tight. But when one person starts shining a little brighter, that's when envy, pride, and ego all come leaking out. And what's coming next might expose exactly who the real jealous one in this Dipset story is. Now here's where it flips again. Choke No Joke came out saying it wasn't Jim who had jealousy issues. It was Cam. Said Cam couldn't handle the fact that Jim started buzzing and building his own spotlight. That claim hit hard and shook the narrative. But before you crown Choke as the truth teller, let's get something clear. This ain't all unbiased commentary. Choke and Cam got real history, and not the friendly kind. These two almost came to hands years back, just because Choke gave props to one of Jim's mixtapes. That's personal beef, not journalistic objectivity. So yeah, Choke is defending Jim, but don't get it twisted. It ain't just loyalty, it's spite. Now here comes Choke, painting Jim as the protector, the muscle, the street shield who kept Cam safe when things got rough. But let's be real, look at the timing. Jim just dropped his new project, At the Church Steps, in February 2025. And suddenly, all this old Dipset drama is back in the spotlight? Coincidence? Nah, this got clout chase written all over it. When the streams slow down and the buzz fades, nothing pulls the streets back in like stirring up old beef. And Choke No Joke? He's the perfect soldier for a historical remix, especially since he's still holding on to his own personal grudge against Camron. Now Santana breaks down that 50-cent moment, and this is where the betrayal cuts deep. Jim wanted so badly to stand out on his own that he broke one of the oldest street rules in the book. You don't side with the ops when your team is at war. That ain't business. That's a jealous move fueled by ego, not strategy. When Dipset was beefing with 50, Jim didn't just stay neutral. He went up on stage with him. On stage with the enemy. That's not loyalty. That's backdoor ambition, plain and simple. Jim couldn't take living in Cam's shadow no more, so he made a play to be the star. And that move burned the whole brotherhood down. That's not the mindset of a solid soldier. That's the energy of someone eaten alive by envy.
You know what I'm saying? MASE and all that going on yet, or are they still coming up?
I'm not gonna sit here and do a discography, my bro. It's a little bit too much for me. And you ain't pay enough for that. So if you got some other questions you wanna ask, or you could erase all this, send you your money back.
Either or.
Okay, I mean,
I understand what's going on and the plight of everything that's going on, and people want to know the history, but this ain't the way that you're not going to be able to get the whole Jim Jones or Jomo story for that, what you did. I thought this was some regular questions. Seemed like you trying to get everything up to every point, and that's not going to happen right now. So if you want to ask some questions, I'm cool with that, but you definitely can't ask me all these questions you asking, my brother. So if you got some ask, you better ask and get it off your chest, but I ain't going through this with you because you don't have enough money for that. No disrespect.
And now, 2 decades later, Jim's still haunted by that shadow, still reaching for validation, still rallying anyone who ever had beef with Camron to help rewrite the story and crown him king. Even Freaky Zeke, who's been trying to stay neutral, had to admit this beef wasn't that deep in the beginning. But the second outsiders started fanning the flames, that's when things spun way out of control. And ask yourself, who benefits from keeping that fire lit? The one whose name only trends when old wounds get reopened. See, when a man's been exposed as a fraud and he got no real defense left, he reaches for the gutter. Threats, sneak disses, intimidation, that's all he's got left in the tank. And now, Jim Jones is about to show just how low a man will go when the lies stop landing and the truth starts hitting. Camron didn't just throw shade, he went surgical. He picked apart Jim's entire street persona, brick by brick. This ain't just a brotherhood gone bad, this is a full-blown character assassination. According to Cam, Jim don't got no loyalty, no code, no self-respect, just a loud mouth and an even louder thirst for attention.
Not to be in worse situations than they was before they met you. You get, do you understand that? I don't know if you understand that. That's why I'm now, but then you send them on dummy missions and trick them out their freedom. Max is doing 75, I know you fuck. Jaja just wanted to be a rapper. Jaja had 10 years, my nigga. We don't know where Jeter at. Stro is just missing. I don't know what the Stro. Slicey, 12 years. His godson, that was 13 years old, 8 years. Shotty, he was trying to be 12 years. And I know you love Mel, because I love Mel Matrix. That's my brother. I love him. That's your man more than my man, and that's a fact. I cannot deny it. But you said when he come home, he gonna be the triple OG. Get that man a job, man. Get him a job. He's the triple OG before he went in. Make sure he getting a job, getting 6 digits a year. That's what it's really about. As much as that side, I don't know if me or not, I ain't talking about this situation. You know what's gangster? Emery is gangster. Emery that had a Puma, creative wealth, doing it ain't even like jail back on his plate no time soon, and they ain't never going back. You know what's gangster? Biggs is gangster. Biggs come home for jail, still got a stake in Rockefeller, whatever him and Jay-Z worked out, that's cool. Or whatever, he got St. John as artist, he working with Drink Champs. That's gangster. Not throwing back in the pot to eventually do something that could get them back in the same situation. And I'm not saying, man, if you got something lined up for Matrix, I'm shut the my bad. I apologize, but I don't want that for Melly because I get about Melly. Whether he care about me like he used to or not, I still my love for Melly. So hopefully that'll go right. But this is gonna be the last time I address this. I did this 10 years ago. A lot of people seem like this is new business. When Jim wanted to go to Rock Nation, he sat there and was crying on Funk Master Flex, saying I did this, did that. We did this whole thing 10 years ago, bro. I'm not doing this every 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Whatever you got to say after this, good luck. I wish you luck. I got other shit. A lot of people don't even realize the Dipset movement was from 2001 to 2006, 7. It's 2025. What are we talking about here? If it's people interested in the stories, I dig it. I understand that. Me, from 2007 to 2025, I got to do. This is not on my plate, so I wish you all the best.
And that's the killer part. Jim's whole identity been built around being the tough guy, the enforcer, the street general. But Cam pulled out a single story and demolished that whole image in seconds. And guess what? Cam says witnesses were there too. This ain't rumor. This is receipts.
You know, what was your reaction when Camron brought up all these old stories and everything about you?
I laugh, man. I got this thing, man. People laugh at the lies, but the truth always hurt. You know, lies are more entertaining. You heard? You get to laugh, you get the joke, but The truth is a serious thing, no matter how you look at it. The truth is what the truth is.
Yeah, you know, the internet gets kind of crazy with the lies. The lies be going crazy on the internet.
I mean, well, the lies start from a narrative, and the narrative starts from a person, and you just got to look at it like that. But I've never been one in my life to care about clearing up no rumors. Like, that shit just take time out my day from making money. I know who I am. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I stand 10 toes down on everything I believe in. I don't change my pivot, and everybody knows that.
But here's where the disrespect gets lethal. Cam ain't even mad no more. He's not beefing. He's bored. When a man stops seeing you as a threat and starts viewing you like an annoying mosquito, that's the coldest form of disrespect. Cam's basically saying, Jim ain't even worth my focus. I'm onto bigger moves. When your credibility's gone, your story's falling apart, and every lie's been picked clean, the last move for a desperate man is always the same. Threats. That's where Jim's at now. He ain't denying a single thing Cam or MASE said. Instead, he's trying to flip the heat by threatening to expose their secrets. But notice this. He's not denying the accusations, just dodging and deflecting. And when those empty threats don't land, Jim goes even lower. Body shaming. Man really told MASE to go on a diet. That's the level we've hit. Playground insults, middle school comebacks, no bars, no facts, just desperation in HD. This ain't gangster. This ain't hood loyalty. This ain't street. This is a grown man spiraling, lashing out with weak shots because he's got nothing real left to stand on. The image he built up for years is cracking, and his only defense is throwing shade at someone's weight. And the irony? It's louder than anything Jim's saying. He claims Cam and MASE are clout chasing, just trying to go viral. But who's out here on a full-blown media tour, hopping on XXL, Cam Capone, and any podcast with a mic? That's right, Jim Jones. The same man calling others thirsty is out here sipping from every platform available just to keep his name in rotation. No, but here's the part that really says it all. The moment the interviewer tries to press Jim deeper about his beef with Cam and MASE, he goes silent. The same man who's been puffing his chest, making threats, and throwing shots suddenly got nothing to say when someone hits him with real questions. That's what happens when your whole image is built on smoke and lies. The second someone digs beneath the surface, the foundation crumbles. Jim talks loud when he's steering the convo, when he's in control. But let someone else take the wheel, he freezes. That's the behavior of a man whose script is falling apart live on camera. And now you're about to witness something deeper. A full psychological breakdown of someone who's lived in a lie for so long that truth itself feels like a threat. Reality ain't just uncomfortable for Jim. It's become his enemy. Then Camron steps up to deliver the final verdict. Calm, sharp, and cold. This ain't just a personal grudge anymore. This is about a pattern. According to Cam, every artist who ever linked up with Jim Jones ended up worse off than where they started. That ain't leadership. That's leech behavior. Jim hasn't been building others up. He's been dragging them down, draining their momentum, and flipping narratives to make himself look like the hero while the people around him sink. But here's the fatal blow. Cam reveals that Jim's been on this quiet press war against him and MASE for over 10 years. That's not a recent feud. That's a long-term smear campaign from someone who's been obsessed with flipping the story for over a decade. This ain't fresh beef. This is obsession. Plain and simple. Jim Jones still clinging to the past like it's the last piece of his identity, because back then was the only time he truly felt relevant. And the irony? It's choking. Jim swears he doesn't care about rumors, says he's focused on stacking money and elevating. But who's been out here doing interviews with XXL, Cam Capone, and anybody willing to give him a mic? That's right, Jim Jones himself. The man yelling, "I'm getting to the bag," is on a full-blown press run built on drama. Let's be real. This was never just three Harlem dudes revisiting old memories. This is about authenticity in hip-hop. It's about the line between creators and clout chasers, between builders and biters, between those who earn respect and those who steal it. Jim Jones became the poster boy for what happens when your whole identity is borrowed. Cam and MASE didn't just clap back. They pulled the curtain back and showed the world who Jim really is. They didn't need rumors, didn't need speculation. They used his own words, his own contradictions, and let him self-destruct in front of the world. This is a case study in exposure. A man who screamed loyalty, but moved with envy. A man who played boss, but lived off borrowed legacy. And now, the story's out, and the streets are watching. If you rocked with this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts below. Did Jim play himself trying to rewrite history, or is there more to the story? Share this video with someone who loves real hip-hop, and I'll see y'all in the next one.